Welcome, everybody, to another edition of The Rundown presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. And the League's Cup results were split here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. But the Rapids, the tournament life is on the line as they face Cruz Azul in Los Angeles. And then Rob Holding, he's officially a Burgundy boy. That and much more on the Colorado Rapids podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Colorado Rapids podcast, and this week's edition of The Rundown, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm your host, Mike Ravolo, a very tired Mike Ravolo, I will say, alongside my good friend and resident Rapids legend, Drew Moore. Drewby, how are you holding up, brother?
I'm actually doing pretty well right now.
I could use some of that Drew Moore energy then.
I had some coffee.
I don't drink coffee that often, which is kind of a mistake.
Well, I mean, listen, you got to plant your flag, on something, right? So
high quality H2O.
There you go.
That's what I do.
That's even healthier, you know. Although coffee is basically bean water, so I look at it as though I drink a lot of water too, and it keeps me awake.
That it very much does.
You look great, by the way. Your hair looks amazing. Your facial hair looks amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel disheveled with how busy of a week it's been.
It has been busy.
Speaking to that, Drew, it's ever since Leagues Cup started and kind of the prep going into that.
Yeah.
Like this past week, let's say, has felt like 3 months.
I agree.
It's been a lot.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, because I do feel like what we do busy it's fun, because it means we're playing games. It means, we're all together a lot. But, you get to the end of like a busy run and you're like, man, that was a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we know what that's about.
Yeah, and we're still kind of in the middle of a busy run here, I feel like. And the players, obviously, maybe physically, they're feeling it a little bit more than us. But hey, everybody in this club is putting in their time and hours right now.
Yeah, it's literally everybody.
Certainly, as an ex-player, I've gained even more respect for the work that goes on behind the scenes and off the field. And so this is a fun stretch, but it's a busy stretch. But we got a lot of soccer.
Yeah, I'm with you though. Like, it's better that you're more involved in these tournaments in the Leagues Cup as opposed to not, and being on the outside looking in as it pertains to that and other tournaments and other things you can be involved in. You'd much rather be a part of stuff as opposed to watching it. So,
for sure.
So tired, but we're excited nonetheless. Yep. Now, speaking of which, and of course, as I mentioned, we're very busy. We got a packed show. We got a lot to cover. Because we've had quite a bit going on just in the past week. I would say few days, past week or so. Let's kick it off first with the matchup that kicked off the Rapids 2025 Leagues Cup campaign. That was on Thursday, just this past Thursday, against Santos Laguna. So we can go through the highlights and see how that match played out, Drew. And of course, this is, like I mentioned, the first match for the Rapids in 2025 Leagues Cup. First of 3 they would be playing solely against Mexican opposition. This save from Santos off a Cole Bassett header.
Yeah, this goalkeeper Acevedo made a couple of very good saves to keep Santos in this match, and an early one here. I mean, look at this. It's almost across the line. A great header from Cole Bassett, and, a glimpse of things to come for him.
And then looking here, Drew, another chance. Another clearance from Santos Laguna.
Yeah, it's a great attack from the Rapids again. Ted getting up that left side. And, I mean, again, just off the line. And he does a good job. Not only he's facing his own goal of getting a foot on it, but keeping it from going in his own goal.
And then here, Drew, Santos, they'd respond. They're the ones who opened the scoring for this match.
Yeah, Carrillo, what a finish. And they came out the brighter side in the second half after the Rapids were very good in the first half. But Santos Laguna comes out on fire to start the second half and rewarded with a fantastic strike. But it wasn't going to keep the Rapids down.
However, the Rapids, yes, they were going to respond shortly here. Calvin does really well to lose his defender and sets up Hoffa for the goal. Yeah,
Calvin Harris showing his pace and just his directness. The left back for Santos Laguna had no chance here. Calvin gets his legs opened up, and Hoffa Navajo getting to the spot. That's what your number 9 does. It's a great extra pass, great weight on it from Calvin Harris, and Hoffa's scoring there.
What's better than one Hoffa goal, Drew? 2 Hoffa goals on the night.
2 Hoffa goals and one from the set piece. The Rapids were dangerous on set pieces all night, and this was late in the match, only about 10 minutes remaining, even less, 5 minutes plus a little bit of injury time. just determined to get on the end of it. It's great service from Georgie and a great finish. Chris Armas. He's getting
he'll take the
there were some shenanigans at the end of the game, right? Like both sides kind of come together and
some shenanigans.
Yeah. Which happens in big emotional matches. Teams that don't see each other very often, and you have to get you probably have to get the full 3 points in that first match if you want to give yourself an opportunity to advance. And Chris Armas was making sure the crowd got into that.
Oh, the crowd was loving it.
It was a great atmosphere. It was both sides.
Atmosphere.
Both sides.
This is so we just talked about it. Where this is why I love Leagues Cup and being a part of it. So we'll get into a little bit in terms of thoughts and what we want to take away from that game overall. Very quickly with match stats, Drew. So looking here with shots, the Rapids had 10 versus Santos 18. Shots on goal 7 for the Rapids versus 3 for Santos. 9 corners on the night for the Rapids, 6 for Santos Laguna, and then possession 45.1% possession for the Rapids, and then 54.9% for Santos Laguna. So Drew, we were getting into a little bit because we got excited from all the things that we could kind of take away from that game. What were your takeaways and thoughts on the game?
I thought the Rapids in the first half were very, very good. They spread Santos Laguna out, right? They were able to maintain attacks. Their rest defense was really, really good for the first 45 minutes. They were able to create second and third attacks. Again, the Santos Laguna goalkeeper made a couple very good saves, a couple, goal line clearances as well. Rafa Navajo hits the post. Cole Bassett scored on a header that ended up being ruled offsides, right? And then we started the second half a little bit tentative, and it seemed like Santos Laguna just started with a bit more energy, a bit more tempo that we didn't see from them in the first half. And I think it caught us off guard a little bit, but take nothing away. After we conceded, the Rapids showed a lot of character. They've proven in this tournament last season that Rapids have a little bit flair for the dramatic in this tournament, and they didn't let it phase them. And Rafa Navajo gets his 2 goals. And so after we conceded, I thought we looked more like we did in the first half, where we were going to put the pressure on Santos Laguna. And I thought it was interesting. Santos Laguna played a little bit more, to me, like maybe you see from MLS sides, a bit more up tempo, a bit more energy, a bit more, on the front foot. And I know some of the Liga MX side but you still see a lot of the Mexican sides, right? Traditionally a bit more, within their tactics, slower when they're moving the ball, a bit more tactical, and the quality and tight spaces and the long diagonals. But Santos Laguna came out and, they played 5 across the back, but those wing backs were getting up and down, on the width. And I thought that was an interesting little wrinkle that we saw from Santos Laguna that we matched extremely well.
Yeah, I'm with you, Drew, in terms of how first half played out pretty favorably for the Rapids. Mm-hmm. Maybe you should take advantage of some of those chances. Granted, doesn't hurt when you have a goalkeeper like Acevedo and like some of their backline defending the way they did with everything they had to prevent some of those chances going in. But then, of course, flip the script to the second half where Santos, they take advantage of some of the chances they get, one of them in this case, obviously with the 1 goal they get, but it looked like things were playing favorably on their part. But the Rapids find a way, man. Mm-hmm. The Rapids love Leagues Cup. And, again, you spoke to it in terms of their experience from last year. They love Mexican opposition because it's a different test, a way to prove yourself against the rival neighboring league, yep. as we have for a number of years now as Major League Soccer, let alone the Colorado Rapids. So, you had mentioned it before we got into the match stats and the highlights and everything is the environment, man. Like for me, that's the one thing I always kind of take away from these matches, particularly with Leagues Cup, is just the atmosphere is just. It's incredible, man. Like I'm lucky enough with that when I'm filming during games, I'm field level. So like when the crowd is reacting to everything and kind of like cheering and oohing and awing, it just kind of collapses on you, which is nice to kind of get the same feeling that the players get, where it kind of drives them a little bit. It gives them a little bit more to kind of go, when maybe there's not as much left in the tank as they would like, but the crowd gets you going, man. It's just so fun to be a part of. For
sure, and I thought we showed a lot of maturity at the end of that match when things did kind of kick off there, and the benches come together, and the players on the field come together, and we were very professional in that moment. We weren't backing down, right? We were the crowd was getting into it, but we kept our emotions in check. We didn't let it, spill onto our play. I know there was only a couple minutes left, but there was still a couple minutes left, and I thought we did a good job of keeping control and making sure we got the full 3 points when. Sometimes situations like that happen and things can go the other way. And that's what Santos Laguna is maybe trying to do a little bit, feel it out. Can we get into their heads here for the last couple minutes and try to get this at least into a penalty shootout? Not from the Rapids. They were very mature and professional in that moment.
That was incredibly notable because Mexican teams, they're savvy.
Savvy,
Like they're
absolutely.
very savvy.
Absolutely.
Whether you like it or not, in terms of the dark arts and some of these little things you do off the ball,
They're top.
They're very good at it. They can get into your head, and if you let yourself kind of get carried away with that, you're the one that sees the red, and maybe they get a yellow card, and next thing you know, you put your team in a 10v11 for situation, or worse, if too many of you guys are getting too caught up. So that was incredibly notable from the Rapids. What was it? Sam Vines post game. Like I was moving around to different position to film, and I see Sam Vines on the floor, and then I talked to him post game before he does the mix zone with the rest of the press, and said, "Yeah, just I got hit, and then I'm on the ground, and guys are coming at me and kind of antagonizing, trying to get rile him up a little bit, get a reaction." No, he was calm, he was composed, and that reflected in the entire team as well. So that was good to see, because they'll do that. If they are going to go down, they're going to find an opportunity to take you down with them, in terms of you also earning that red card, which Acevedo did get close to the end of the match.
And I think players and fans have different perspectives of that. Players understand it. This is going to happen on the field. Fans get frustrated with it, and players can get frustrated with it as well. But this is a part of the game. It's the dark arts a little bit, trying to gain an edge. And the Rapids did a fantastic job handling their business.
Yeah. So game 1 for Leagues Cup 2025, 3 points, all 3 points for the Rapids. Which leads us to game 2 against Club Tijuana. That just happened as of recording last night, Sunday night. So we're recording Monday morning. So that was game number 2 for the Colorado Rapids in Leagues Cup 2025 against Los Xolos. Do you want to try to pronounce the entire? No, I'm not going to make you do that, because I can't do that. So to start off, Drew, here looking at the highlights, a chance here for Xolos. Good save from Zach.
Yeah, Vicinho is a good little player. He had some space on his left foot a couple times there.
And then Tijuana, fairly fortunate with how the play played out, and then they just take advantage of the chance when it comes up.
It's a fantastic finish from Poroso, and they make first contact, right? And first contact is huge on set pieces, and unfortunately, Xolos take the lead there on a set piece.
And the Rapids would respond with a chance of their own, but another goal line clearance here, but this time from Tijuana.
Yeah, Yapi and Navajo doing everything they can to try to turn this over the line, and Tijuana do good job, desperate defending, clear it off the line. It's not. I mean, it's not pretty. It's ugly, but we would have loved to have scored in that situation.
Yeah, no, Tijuana did everything they were supposed to, keep it out of the goal, maintain the lead. Hafa here would look for a chance. It's a good save from the Xolos goalkeeper.
Yeah, Rodriguez made a couple very good saves. Again, kept Tijuana in this match and kept the Rapids off the board for most of the night.
And then here, Drew Zach with a good save, but Xolos follow up and they score the second.
Yeah, this was a bit of a dagger, I think, at this point of the game, about halfway, towards the end of the second half, and it's a long way to come back 2-0 down, obviously.
Difficult position to come back from, but the Rapids said, no, we're not going to give up. We're going to insist and continue and force coincidences, like Chris Armas likes to say, and here you go.
There it is. And Alex Harris looked very bright when he came on. I know Oliver Larraz calls him off of this. But you finally got Tijuana running back, facing their own goal. We weren't able to do that enough on the night, which we'll get into here in a minute. But you force coincidence, you unbalance them, and you never know what could happen.
And then last one that we have for you here in these highlights was Hafa with his shot here. And again, the goalkeeper for Xolos is just stepping up big.
Yeah, it's another big save. It takes a little deflection, and again, Rodriguez does a good job of showing quick hands, getting down to it. Tijuana were, they were organized. They defended well. They did what they had to do ultimately on the night.
Yeah, they did what they had to do. That's what it came down to, Drew. So looking at the match stats for that match between the Rapids and Club Tijuana, there's 11 shots for Rapids on the night, 20 for Xolos. 4 shots on goal for the Rapids versus the 9 for Tijuana. 8 corners for the Rapids, 7 for Tijuana. And then possession, 58.1% for the Rapids. Not something we see often, Drew, from the Colorado Rapids. And then 41.9% Tijuana conceding most of the possession on the night. So your takeaways from that match, Drew?
Well, very opposite than what we saw against Santos Laguna. Tijuana, defend a little bit deeper, very organized. They weren't... They're just a hardworking team, I feel like. Now, they had some good players, Gilberto Mora, obviously, who we didn't see a whole lot of, but he popped around and showed his quality. I thought Vicinho on the right side, anytime he was able to cut in on his left foot was very dangerous. But they were just a very hardworking team that compressed the middle of the field extremely well, and I just don't think we were quite dynamic enough in attack and quite quality enough in attack to break Tijuana down and maybe our rest defense, we just weren't able to keep them pinned in and create second and third attacks with our energy and our rest defense, and the match didn't start well. It seemed a little bit lower energy, and against a quality side like Tijuana, regardless of where they are in the Liga MX table, regardless of who's on the field, they've got enough quality at every position that if you don't punish them, they're gonna kind of stay around, hang around, and they were opportunistic on the night. They scored on a couple of their opportunities, and we didn't. And I just think we lacked a little bit of energy and quality in the attacking third.
Yeah, I'm with you, Drew. It didn't feel the same as the Santos match, especially the first half of that match on Thursday against Santos. I couldn't put my finger on it, but just we're missing something. We're missing a little something there to like really pile on to Tijuana to, as we talked about, force the coincidences, as we saw with the goal that the Rapids, with the own goal that the Rapids earned there. So if we saw more of that, maybe a little bit more spread out through the first half or through the game in general, maybe we're talking about a different result here for the Rapids, and maybe they're walking out with 6 points, which, as we know, in this initial stage of Leagues Cup, every single point matters because of how few spots there are available to move on to the next round.
It does, and I think, we didn't use our width as much against Tijuana as we did against Santos Laguna, and finally, after we went down 2-0, we forced Tijuana, and maybe they go in, a little bit more defensive at that point because they know they're defending a 2-goal lead, but just not getting them facing their goal enough, not, making them defend enough crosses in behind the back line in front of the goalkeeper. You have to find these moments of quality in the final third for a team that is going to work hard to get back behind the ball. You have to find these moments where you're able to, be brave in your passing, be brave in your dribbling, and make them uncomfortable. And I just don't think we were quite dynamic enough on the night for that reason. And they were organized, they were big, athletic, and again, Tijuana, give them credit, they defended well, and they were opportunistic in some of their chances.
Yeah, in terms of that they had that sort of, as Chris Armas likes from his Rapids side, what they want to do is like enjoy kind of suffering a little bit. Tijuana did that, and I think that comes from their head coach, Sebastián Abreu, who's ex-Uruguayan national team, played at Botafogo, a former club.
He played at like 32 different teams, didn't he? He bounced around.
Yeah, he was quite the journeyman. But Uruguay national team, like this is, he was in that PK shootout, for Uruguay against Ghana in 2010. A guy with a lot of experience.
He's Panenka did as well, didn't he? I believe
he Panenka that one. Yeah, so it was very cheeky, very very good goal. So him coming from Uruguay, the Uruguayans, they're the garra charrua, right? Like, so they're all about suffering. Like, you need to know how to fight, just to the death. To basically that's how they kind of go about their business.
That?
La garra charrua.
La garra charrura.
We'll work on it. Okay. we'll work on that with you, Drew. But Uruguayans, as folks would know, like when they have to, they are going to suffer, and they have no problem doing so. And you could see the last 8-10 minutes or so, I was kind of keeping an eye on the bench in terms of how they were reacting to everything that was going on, in terms of how they were defending and anything they were doing. Like any tackle, any sort of good defensive favorable moment that they had on their end, the bench was celebrating like they won the World Cup. I mean, so part of that in terms of instilling that little bit of grittiness to them comes from their head coach, Sebastián Abreu.
It can be a powerful thing.
And there's worse voices you could get that from in terms of like the direction from someone like that who's been there, who's done that, knows how to suffer, has the quality, and knows what he's talking about as well, considering the experience that he has. But the fact that for sure he just kind of like Ben Olsen, I would kind of compare it to Ben Olsen for MLS, for more folks more familiar with MLS, like someone. Find a way to just suffer and fight to the death if you have to find a way to get the result. And that's what they did, Drew. Yeah. They took advantage of their opportunities, but they suffered when they had to, and it paid off for them in the end. Anything else from that match? If not, I was going to move on to.
No, I mean, it leaves. You have to win your next match, and I know we're going to get into that match.
Yep.
You're not eliminated yet, and so there still needs to be a lot of focus and energy put towards Cruz Azul, which. And I know I'm getting ahead here, but
yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there in just a bit, because I wanted to actually get your thoughts on a little bit of news that we had.
Okay.
Summer, as you know, typically means that there's a lot of player movement, be it the Rapids or be it literally anybody in the world. But as it pertains to the Rapids, Mr. Rob Holding is now a Burgundy boy.
Welcome.
So this is a center back, for those who don't know, a center back who played at Arsenal, has been at Crystal Palace, and played in the Premier League for a number of years. Yeah. This is a guy who has experience, Drew. Like he has quite the resume on him, it just kind of speaks for itself. So I wanted to get, as a fellow center back, your thoughts on what you made of the signing and what you kind of expect from someone like him coming into the club here at the Colorado Rapids?
I think it's an important signing, and obviously Rob Holding has a lot of experience at a top level, right? And to bring that experience, the level that he's been playing at, and his leadership, he's already here. He's been around for a few days now. You can tell he wants to be here and he's excited to be here. And, maybe recently he's been in a little bit of a nebulous situation, but he seems ready to go and excited to go. And I think, you lose Cheeto Awaziem, a couple weeks ago, and you bring in a young Noah Cobb who's done extremely well in the week and a half or so that he's been here, and now you bring in Rob Holding, somebody that I anticipate will command a back line, not be fazed by any of the situations that he's going to face, whether it's Leagues Cup or league play. He's battled at times, he's battled in the championship, which is not an easy, that's a grind, and obviously he's played for Arsenal. And so he's somebody that I'm extremely excited about, mature guy, a lot of experience, like I said, and I think this is the perfect timing to bring somebody like him. He looks like he's got some athletic chops as well, which is important in this system, but somebody that's going to bring some calm, some leadership, and somebody that some of the younger guys can look up to as well. I'm really excited to see what he has to offer.
Yeah, you'll be running into him on the pitch, when you're out of training with first team now, so that'll be really cool to kind of see what he's about, see in the flesh, if you will, to be able to see kind of what he offers. And,
of course.
And hopefully that'll reflect on the pitch for everybody to see when they come to Dick's Sporting Goods Park. It'd be really cool. So I actually got to see him the other day for a little bit, chatted with him a little bit. And just following up on what you said, Drew, like he is, you could see he's very excited. He's eager more than anything to just like get going, to be able to play, to be here as well. Like he's excited at the prospect of exploring what Denver is, because he's actually pretty familiar with the States. Like he does, like he has, when speaking with him, he's enjoyed kind of coming to the States, when he has some time off, and then try to get ready for the next season when he was still in Europe. So the U.S. is it's not unfamiliar territory. Right. I think Denver a little bit maybe it falls under that category, but he's excited. You can tell he's very excited to be here and get going and contribute from the get go. And
that's good. It's a fresh face here for the club, a new voice, an experienced voice, which is important for the squad, and then maybe for Bob himself, a new look, kind of a new beginning, a new start. Which over the course of my career, the couple times I went to new teams, it kind of refocuses you and refreshes you, and hopefully it's a positive situation for both. That's what this transfer window is all about. That's what you're looking for anytime you bring in a new player, And I think Rob Holding is somebody that you saw an opportunity to bring in a good, experienced, high level center back. It's a good move. It's a smart move.
He's Rob Holding, but he ain't no Drew Moore. I'll tell you that much.
Stop. Don't slap him in the face like that.
So once the opportunity comes around, if that Rob Holding features here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, of course we're going to give him the proper warm Colorado welcome from our Rapids loyal, the Rapids loyal fans.
I would expect nothing less from them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's typically what happens. But of course, for someone like this, give him the proper welcome, definitely make him feel at home. That's the idea, so that it, eventually that translate with his play as well.
Yeah, he's ready to battle for us.
He's ready.
Yeah.
That much I can guarantee people is that he's itching. He's itching to get going. All right,
Cruz Azul.
You were getting ahead of me here, and you're like, all right, now we can get into Cruz Azul.
I'm ready to go kick somebody.
we might need to. Listen, I wouldn't mind having another Drew Moore appearance here for the Rapids.
And I'll kick him twice.
Oh, good. Can we get Drew back on the first? Is it too late to do that?
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's too late.
I'll talk to some folks. So, looking ahead to what is going to be the third and final match of the initial phase for the Colorado Rapids. That's going to be against Cruz Azul, Drew. And that's happening Thursday, August 7th, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. That's going to be in Los Angeles at Dignity Health Sports Park, where the LA Galaxy play. You can catch that match on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Looking at Cruz Azul, Drew, in terms of like kind of what their outlook is, or a little bit of like what they have going on at the past year or so, where they're at. So in the Apertura, so their fall season, if you will, from 2024, they finished first. So this is not a pushover team by any stretch of the imagination.
That's as good as you can do.
And then finished third in the Clausura, so the quote-unquote spring season out in Mexico in Liga MX. And, of course, very recently, we talked about it here on the podcast because we were keeping tabs on the Whitecaps. They demolished the Whitecaps in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final of 2025. So Cruz Azul are your current CONCACAF Champions Cup.
I think they're still scoring in the final.
Yeah, they might. Yeah, the way that final went. And some key players, Drew. So there's one guy here that I'll get to in just a second that we'll recognize. But a couple kind of national team guys, like fringe national team guys, or at least are making the bench. There's Carlos Rodriguez, a winger, who's a very dangerous winger actually for them. And then Angel Sepulveda, who's been around the game for quite a while now. Also like a key contributor for this Cruz Azul side. And then this guy that I wanted to mention is Mateus Bogusz. Like, this is a very familiar name for folks in MLS. Played in LAFC, had a very good 2024 season that earned him his move to Cruz Azul. And then in terms of Leagues Cup, slightly different story for Cruz Azul in terms of
they're still conceding against Seattle though, so it goes both ways here, doesn't it?
10, 11, where are we at right now with that? I mean, so it says they play Seattle, but was it the Seahawks? Well, I don't know.
We're going American football.
So Cruz Azul lost 7-0 to the Seattle. I was going to say Sounders, but it almost sounds like the Seahawks with the touchdown and extra point they got dropped on him. So 7-0. That was a 7-0 defeat for Cruz Azul to start their Leagues Cup campaign against the Seattle Sounders. And then just last night, they were playing almost simultaneously with the Rapids versus Tijuana. Cruz Azul, they earned a 1-1 draw and then won on PK, so they earned themselves 2 points so far in Leagues Cup after 2 matches played. So they're all but eliminated, but as
they
a
could
player,
be by the time they get to the match.
They could be, Drew. But for me, just as a player nationally, I think it doesn't matter the context of the situation. Like, you're just going to go in and play. Like, you want to compete and win,
and
right?
And take the 7-0 out of it. I know we were kind of joking about it, but that's.
That's said and
Cruz
done.
Azul.
Yeah, listen, we cracked our joke in there. We got it in there, but like
a lot of respect for this.
This is Cruz Azul. This is not a pushover team by any stretch of the imagination with the quality that they have in this side. Yeah. So comparatively speaking, with the Rapids in terms of where they place right now in terms of Leagues Cup standings, they're 10th. They're 10th after 2 matches played, having earned 3 points so far. So that puts them in a position where bare minimum, I think they have to win. And that's with a little bit of help along the way as well from other MLS teams having to lose, other Liga MX teams having to win.
Yeah.
So it's do or die basically in terms of Leagues Cup for the Rapids, right? You need to bare minimum go to LA and Dignity Health Sports Park and be Cruz Azul. And like we said, like they're not gonna just lay down and kind of take it, even though their future is kind of determined up to this point in terms of Leagues Cup. Rapids just got to go in and do a job against a very, very, very talented and good Cruz Azul side.
And regardless of the results, because this game being played on the last group stage day, we'll know a little bit more. But let's take that out of it. This is a wonderful opportunity against one of the biggest clubs in Liga MX, and I know Club America fans will laugh about that. Chivas de Guadalajara fans will laugh about that. But Cruz Azul, when you think of Liga MX, this is one of the teams you think of. And they absolutely dominated the Vancouver Whitecaps in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final because they absolutely dominated the middle of the field in that match. Sepulveda was phenomenal in that match. Rodriguez was phenomenal in that match, They didn't do a whole lot wrong in that match, but to me, it just their repress, their ability to keep the ball in the middle of the field and not allow Vancouver to play through them was impressive. And so I think this is a team, Cruz Azul, that you're going to have to be very good defensively, very organized, very compact, and you're going to have to try to counter and transition this team, which the Rapids obviously are set up extremely well to do that. But this is a wonderful opportunity against very good, high-quality players. It reminds me a lot of the Club America match, the quarterfinal last season. It's in the same stadium. It's going to be a sea of blue because Cruz Azul fans are extremely passionate, and this is an extremely well-supported club. But a great opportunity, hopefully with the opportunity to still advance if you get all 3 points, to go in and, kind of put the Tijuana result behind you and continue to build some momentum, not just within Leagues Cup, but also perhaps in league play, because now you start to intermix them a little bit. I'm really looking forward to this match, and if I was still playing, these are the kind of matches you get up for against the best, one of the best teams, in the region right now, and just historically anyway. Some really quality players. This will be a lot of fun. This will be a lot of fun on Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I will actually be with the team out in LA for this one,
Nice.
covering that. So it'll be nice to kind of go there and get the Leagues Cup experience at Dignity Health Sports Park, as opposed to when we typically play the Galaxy out in that stadium. Yeah, because I wasn't on the trip last year for Club, which that's a moment in this club's history.
For sure.
Like that is a moment, and hopefully we can kind of replicate that against what is another big team, like you mentioned in Cruz Azul, and fighting for your Leagues Cup life if you want to move on. So just for context in terms of how that would play out, right? There's only 4 spots available amongst all the. So it's for each league. So amongst all the MLS teams and all the Liga MX teams, 4 for each league are available to move on to the next round. So as we mentioned, that the Rapids are currently 10th. Should they win, that puts them in a pretty good position to move on. But again, that depends on other results. Ideally, other MLS teams losing and Liga MX teams winning to kind of put other MLS teams down and put us further up in one of those top 4 spots to be able to move on.
Yep.
So quite a bit to do. Yeah. But again,
go after it.
Yeah, go after it.
Go after it. I know you embraced every challenge that you faced last season in Leagues Cup, and that brought you a lot of success, right? You weren't phased, you weren't intimidated. You stuck together. You grew from it, but you took it one game at a time, and you faced every single obstacle and every challenge that was presented to you. You faced it head on, and you had a lot of success for it. And it's going to be a night on Thursday where you're going to have a lot thrown at you, right? From the other players, from the other fans, from the referees, from maybe inside your own head. You got to face every challenge head on with confidence. You got to be brave. You got to show a little something. You got to show some character. You got to show some heart. And if you do that, then you give yourself a very good opportunity, to go in and do something that maybe a lot of people don't think you're going to be able to do. Yeah.
As a player, I'd imagine these are the games you want to play. The ones where you have a few more butterflies kind of lingering in your stomach. You're like, oh man, I got to really kind of have my head on straight, have everything be ready to go for this sort of match. Yes, you might be nervous, but I think that's a good thing, right? It keeps you honest, and it makes you realize that this is a big occasion.
You're gonna miss those butterflies when you no longer get those butterflies. Yeah. So embrace those butterflies and go and go enjoy.
Yeah, dude. Man, butterflies.
Whatever you want to call it, being nervous, whatever you want to call it. Go embrace.
To be fair, I was the one who got the butterflies motif going on it.
They know what we're talking about.
So yeah, it's again an exciting opportunity against a big Mexican team. Reminder for everybody that you can tune into that match between Cruz Azul and Colorado Rapids on Thursday, August 7th, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, with that match kicking off in LA, Dignity Health Sports Park, and of course you can catch it on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. That's not the only match we're looking forward to, Drew.
We're not done, are we? We're not done.
Because there's still one more, but this is for MLS play. This is going back to the MLS regular season, where the Rapids will travel to Minnesota, and that match between Minnesota United and the Colorado Rapids, that's on Sunday, August 10th, with the 4 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff. So don't mind an early afternoon, late afternoon,
earlier kickoff.
Afternoon kickoff, earlier kickoff. But it's on a Sunday, so maybe not too much. At Allianz Field in Minnesota, that match is going to be taking place. And, of course, that match you can also catch on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. So just your general thoughts, Drew, of what you can expect and what you're looking forward to, what to keep an eye out on in this match between Minnesota and the Rapids.
Well, we haven't seen Minnesota United yet this season. At least the Rapids have not played them. But what we know about Minnesota is pretty much what everybody knows about them. They will defend extremely well. They will defend deep, and they will counter as good as any team in the league. Joaquin Pereira, Tani Olawashe, Bongi Hlongwane, Robin Lud, these are quality players that are punishing teams in transition, on set pieces. They almost are uncomfortable at times when they have to build, right, in possession. They don't want to do it. They almost just want, you have the ball, you try to dictate the play. We're just going to sit here and defend in front of our goal, and then we're going to score in transition. And it continues to work for them. They find themselves right up near the top, of the table for that reason. And they have been kind of on and off most of the season. And the Rapids' rest defense is going to have to be as good as it has been all season. I know we talk about rest defense a lot, because it is such a focal point in MLS right now with the transitional, aspect and the way teams want to play. But Minnesota does it on steroids, where they will a lot of times play kind of a 5-2-3, just a deep block, and they will punish you in transition, and you have to be ready for it.
I think they're as good as it gets in terms of counterattack. Like the Timbers, I think, was another team you could say that was as good as it gets in terms of transition and punishing you in those moments. But I think Minnesota is kind of the standard.
They have the crown right now.
They have no problem conceding possession. They know exactly what they're about, and that's what makes them so dangerous, is that everybody's committed to the bit.
I mean, there's games where they're hovering around 30% possession and winning.
But where are they on the table, Drew?
Yeah.
You know, like that shows that everybody's committed to what they're trying to do, right? It's not as pretty as it would be in years past when they had other influential players that would kind of orchestrate the play and they'd have a little more possession. But again, I think it's just Eric Ramsey being incredibly smart about how to go about his business in the league with the current group of players that he has.
Exactly.
It's just being smart. Like you can say, they're pragmatic, they're not entertaining. Look at where they are on the table, Drew.
I don't think.
I mean, the results are there to show for where they are on the table right now. Ask any of the teams that they played against, like how stubborn and how difficult and how dangerous that this Minnesota United side is. So that's where. So considering how stubborn they're going to be, Drew.
Right.
What do the Rapids need to do to find solutions, find gaps to break what is going to be basically a wall in front of their goal before they go in transition?
I was just going to say, when you play against a team that might play a little bit different or have a few wrinkles that are different, you have to be ready for it. You have to be prepared for it, and you're going to feel a little uncomfortable, and that's okay. Like, get used to it, embrace it. Right. And so a team that sits a little bit deeper, maybe it's kind of like against a Club Tijuana, right? You have to, pull them out of their positions. You have to move the ball with tempo. You have to get around them at times and get crosses in behind that back line and make that back line face their own goal. Force some of the coincidences. Be brave. Make sure your rest defense is ready to go, right? You continue to be on the front foot. Don't second guess what you're doing out there. Go play with tempo. Be patient, but ready to go on both sides of the ball. Don't go in there and the first time they get an opportunity to counter, they go and counter, and you're like, whoa, where'd that come from? No, we know this is what they're looking to do, right? Everybody knows this is what they're looking to do. So be ready for it, prepare for it, embrace it, and go face it head on, and you give yourself an opportunity, but they're going to be difficult to break down, and it might take 90-plus minutes to do it. But you got to keep, again, you got to be brave. You got to be energetic. You got to make them face their own goal. Be direct at times, but go give everything you've got to them. Yeah.
That match that Minnesota played recently against Club America in Leagues Cup could be a bit of a blueprint in terms of, one, how not to defend against them, because Club America, they could have let them score many more goals. That was Minnesota's game to lose, I would say, which in the end they did.
Yeah.
But then in terms of like taking advantage of some of those moments, right, where maybe there's just slight miscommunication or just not paying it. I think if the Rapids can just kind of press the issue against Minnesota United, at some point something's got to give. But we were just talking about it off air in terms of it's a delicate balance between insisting and pushing numbers up and pressuring with possession against Minnesota, but they don't mind it. They don't mind not having the ball and just going the other way and punishing you for it. So it is a pretty interesting match coming up on the MLS side of things, at least against Minnesota United for the Colorado Rapids, and that's just mere days coming after the Leagues Cup.
What a week, man!
It's a lot. It's a lot. So just for that match, which takes us back into MLS play, it's going to be Minnesota United versus the Colorado Rapids on Sunday, August 10th, 4 p.m. Mountain Time kick at Allianz Field, and of course you can catch that match on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. And breathe. That was quite a bit that we had to cover, Drew.
That was fun, though.
But it's fun. Yeah, man. Again, listen, like we said, I'm tired. But that's kind of par for the course in terms of when you're involved in tournaments and in more games, and as opposed to be on the outside looking in, wishing you could be a part of these things. It's better to be tired but involved as opposed to relaxing and wishing you could be involved in some of these things. So
of course, this is a fun time. I love every summer, even though it seems to go so fast, but it's just because we're so busy and so into it. But I wouldn't have it any other way. And this is going to be a fun week. Two wonderful tests against two quality opponents in two different competitions. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I'm guaranteed that the coaches and the players are very much looking forward to it as well. Then, just when the next challenge comes up, step up to it and show what you're about. Yeah. So
get your coffee ready.
I think I'll need to start getting my coffee ready at this point. So at this point, let's put a cap on that, Drew, because we covered quite a bit. We got quite a bit to do still with this busy week ahead of us. So that'll do it from us for what was a very jam-packed, very busy episode of the Colorado Rapids podcast. So my thanks to the production crew with Rich and Miles, and of course my good friend and resident Rapids legend, mi querido viejo.
We might take naps on these couches right now.
Please don't, because I might actually do that, actually. So my thanks to my good friend Drew Moore, and of course I've been your host, Mike Rivolo. We will see you guys on the next one. Have a good week, everybody.